Hello and welcome to the Adapt podcast, where we tell the stories of amazing business leaders and operators about the highs and the lows of this journey and what they learned along the way. So today I have the privilege of speaking with Sophie Stott from Quickmail. She's an incredible business leader who took on the family business, helped it navigate the complexities of the changing technological landscape and the limitations of the pandemic on transport and logistics. If stories like these matter to you and you want to help us share the knowledge and the experience, please like, subscribe, follow, share, and give us any feedback that can help us be better. Let's get into it with Sophie. First of all, I just want to say it's a big pleasure to have you here for the chat. Thanks for joining us on a rainy day.
No worries. Thanks, Gabe. Pleased to be here.
We've had a chance to meet and touch base a little bit on your journey, but I've heard a lot about you and what you've done as a business leader. And so today I thought what could be fun is just having a good chat about the easy road of taking on the family business.
Sure.
Obviously a bit tongue in cheek there. But you guys, you've got two family businesses that you're involved in. One, Quickmail, which was founded by your family, and then also Heavy Duty Solutions, which is owned and operated by you and your husband.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to learn a bit from you about your journey involved in these family businesses and what it takes to make them work. I'll take us down that line of conversation, but we always try to just get to know the person that we're chatting with, and I'll throw a couple of cheeky questions at you, which I did give you the heads up about. But we always like to discover what's one of your favorite indulgences in life, and also a favorite life hack that you rely on day to day that makes life a bit easier.
Okay, well, the indulgence one's pretty easy for me. Being a fairly busy person, I like to keep doing things a lot, but my favourite indulgence is sitting on the couch with chocolate biscuit.
Okay. Any favourite chocolate biscuits?
Tim Tams are pretty up there.
Yep. Normal, the classic one, double coated. Yeah,
any's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I do love that, and just relaxing, watching something on Netflix or the latest show, turn the brain off for a little bit before I start again the next day.
Any Netflix recommendations from recent shows?
Too many. So many good ones and a couple of really bad ones.
What's your genre that you really vibe with?
I don't mind some of the crime shows. Look, my absolute favourite's Ted Lasso. Really enjoyed that. That's obviously not Netflix, but love that show. Yeah. Really inspiring. So many great quotes, so much to take out of it. It's actually my next show. I'm going to go back and watch it for a second time.
I've had so many people tell me I got to watch Ted Lasso, and I still haven't.
You must. It's
great. That will be the priority next.
Yeah, funny, very funny.
Yeah,
heartfelt.
Awesome. And any particular life hacks that makes life easy these days?
Life hacks. I think for me, maybe this isn't so much of a life hack, but just get it done. Just do it.
Yeah.
If there's something you need to do, and maybe if it's a little bit hard or you don't really want to do it, just do it now and then it's done. And I say this to my 11-year-old son all the time regarding homework. Just do it now and then it's done, and you can go and play, watch TV, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But I think that procrastination is not a great thing. And generally I find if you're procrastinating on one thing too much, if you're someone like me who does get a lot done, if I'm procrastinating on one thing too much, there's a reason why I'm doing that. So I've got to break that down and understand why.
And
quite often it's because it's actually not that important to me. Okay. So then it gets crossed off the to-do list.
Right. So then, because you're obviously very busy in life anyway, how do you prioritise to maybe stop a certain momentum that you've got to get something done now that you know actually should get done?
Look, I think I just have this... I love lists, so I do write a lot of lists, but I just have a list in my mind as well of things I need to do. And as I say, just do one thing, then work out what the next most important thing is and do that, and so on and so on.
And then that brings momentum.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because once you start moving, then things get easier. And then you get to sit on the couch and eat chocolate biscuits.
Eat a Tim Tam and watch Ted Lasso. Awesome. Just do it now. thing is helping me a lot because my typical profile is to mentally always in a bit of a rush because I'm thinking about over there, and then I could tend to put things aside and go, I'll get back to it. And then before I know it, I've been too busy saying I'll get back to it, not actually getting anything done. So then to try and tell myself to break through that so I can go, nah, stop. How long is it actually going to take? 5 minutes. Okay, just do it.
Just do it. Just get it done.
And then the momentum comes.
Yeah, but you do have to remind yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's in our nature not to do that all the time. But I maybe I should thank my son because he's making me say it all the time, so it's becoming top of mind for me, and now I'm getting better at doing that. So yeah, thanks, Harry.
Good on you, Harry. Okay, I want to talk about family business, but I'd like to go just right back to the beginning of your journey. Probably go back to when you studied agribusiness.
Sure.
Just tell us what that was like and what made you go that direction.
So yeah, I did year 12. Didn't really have a lot of focus. Loved horses. Wanted to make a career out of riding horses. Took a year off. Went east and rode and worked in that horse industry, and realised pretty quickly that I didn't really want to be picking up someone else's horse manure for the rest of my life, and without a lot of backing, it wasn't really a very good career path.
Yeah.
So I decided that what I wanted to do was make enough money to pay someone else to do those jobs.
You get to ride the horse. But
yeah.
Okay.
Or at least have enough money that I can afford to play that sport for the rest of my life in a way that I'm going to really enjoy it and make the most out of it. So I decided that it was time to come home and go to university. And picking a university degree wasn't that easy because I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'd worked in an orchard for quite a bit of time leading up to that, and obviously had the horses. So it was literally toss a coin between doing a horticulture or an agriculture degree. And in the end, agriculture won, purely for the reason that I could take the horse to the campus with me. And so I chose that, and I spent 4 years at uni, and I did honours in horse nutrition. So I did a project around horse nutrition. So that was good, fun times. And then when I left there, I got a job as an equine nutrition specialist at a local stock feed company. So I did that for a few years, and then really was quite ambitious, but there wasn't really anywhere to go in that role. So I ended up taking a job with another agriculture business that just was not for me. It was really quite horrible. So I very quickly left there, and I actually went and lived in Europe for a year. And it was around that time, so that was about 2006, my dad called me and said, would you like to come back to the family business? I'm thinking of retiring in the next 5 years. Would you like to come back and see if you like it and want to stay?
Yeah.
So I made that decision to come home in 2007, and I had already worked in the family business Quickmail on and off through university, so I understood a bit about what was happening there and how the business operated. I liked the idea of working in our own business. I really and I always had a vision that I would do something for myself. I just didn't quite know what it would be, whether that was going to work in the family business or starting something of my own, maybe in the equine industry.
Yeah.
But this kind of made me go home. So I went home in the January 2007 and started working with my dad, and my uncle was in the business as well. And I've been there for the last, long time.
Yeah, I was
18 years. Yeah.
Amazing. So, okay, where does just going back a little bit, where does this love for the outdoors come from? Because for you, it was horses, orchards, agriculture, horticulture, as opposed to...
Not really from my parents.
Yeah.
No one else in the family is horsey. So some kickback from genes many years ago, I'm not really sure. I just love being around the horses, and they've taught me so much over the past 30 years. They've really taught me so much about myself and how to manage my own emotions and my own, the way that you can reflect back onto yourself. They really are a mirror back to you.
Can you give me an example of that?
If you go down to the stables and you're in a bad mood and you're huffing and puffing, they will want nothing to do with you.
Okay.
So
I've heard that.
you need, they reflect back at you what your
State of mind is.
Yeah. One of my very good friends who's quite intuitive with animals said to me one day, the horses just want you to be more present around them. Because obviously I get home and it's a job, right, to go down and feed them and do those things sometimes. Not every day. Some days you're more relaxed than others, but when you're running a business and there's a lot bouncing around in your head, you might not be quite there with them. And she said, they just want you to be there around them and present. So I've been able to take that advice and try and implement it. Some days will be better than others, but just making myself be aware that they want your time. And I suppose it's the same when you have kids as well, that you need to just be there in that moment with them rather than off thinking about something else at the time.
Amazing. Well, I mean, the little kid's mirror is very much prevalent in my life at the moment. And the brutal lesson I've got to learn when I'm at home, and I realise often too late that my little ones are playing up because I'm in a foul mood from a long, hard day, and then trying to be conscious enough to reset. And I've heard people say that experience with horses is very real and very powerful, that if you're not able to find that consciousness around them, they'll let you know. They
will. and that's, that's not even without having sat on them and ridden them. Once you're riding them, there's really a comment that I heard not long ago was that you're not so much riding the animal and the beast that is the horse, you're riding the emotion that is that animal. So you've got to learn to be more sensitive around them and understand how they're feeling and react to the feeling, not what the body is doing necessarily. Yeah. So I think all of that has helped me. It's taken a long time, but it's helped me to understand a little bit more about leading in business and being more aware of why other people do things. And like with the horses, it's not necessarily about you. It can be about something else that's happening or has happened to them in the past. Yep. So being just being a bit more understanding.
Trying to connect with what's going on for the other person right now that you're trying to work with or do something with. And then modifying your behaviour around that to get a good common outcome. Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, for all of us. And then off to Europe.
Yeah, so over there I studied French at a language school at the Alliance Française, and I worked with horses and I travelled. I had a good time, and I probably should have stayed there for longer, but for some reason I came home.
So what was that like, getting the phone call saying, would you want to come and work in the family business?
I just think it was probably nice to be asked. I was probably at that stage where I'd been over there nearly a year, so I was thinking, what next? What am I going to do? So it was an opportunity that I was prepared to take, and I suppose it was an opportunity where if I didn't like it, I wasn't going to be stuck there forever. Yeah. Little did I know.
Here we are 17 years later.
Yeah.
And at that stage in 2007, when you got the call, Quickmail was already 15 years old because it started in 1992?
Right. Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yep.
Right. Okay. So this is something I really want to tap into, is what went through your mind? What was that experience like to step into a business that's 15 years old already, firstly, and secondly, the family business?
The business was growing at that point. The business was quite well established, but evolving and growing. We had my dad as the managing director. I came in as like an administration, procedures, policies, looking after the internal workings of the business. And then my uncle was there. He was doing marketing and operations. Yeah. Over time, I then started to take over the marketing, and my uncle did more just the operations and sales side of the business. It was an interesting time, I suppose. Having the three people running the business was a little challenging at times because there's not always one direction of the business. Also, what was happening was that the market was changing over the time So pretty much from around around that time, 2007, the internet's growing, the capabilities within the internet are becoming broader. More people are using email and less people are sending mail.
Yeah.
So that started to affect the business as well.
That'd be a scary prospect when the essence of your business is so centrally rooted in mail and humanity's behavior is changing rapidly.
Yeah, and I see it happening more and more to so many businesses.
Yeah.
And we've been through this, and it is very difficult when the market changes and your business has to adapt to that and you're lagging behind it. And we tried a lot of things during those first 10 years that I was in the business to add new services, tweak the services, make it more palatable for people. There was a lot of different initiatives we put in to try and increase mail. One of the things we did was we bought another business and we took on staff and customers from another business that was in the same industry as us. So that helped. That helped us grow the business. But the honest truth of it is a lot of those initiatives we tried just didn't get the traction we needed them to continue to sustain the business.
So I want to ask a question here, because you guys had to adapt in a very, very meaningful way to ensure the business can continue, and you tried all sorts of different things to figure out which way and how would we evolve. It might be difficult to answer, but just really broadly speaking, what percentage of the many, many things that you tried that you end up continue with or sustain? Because it must have been very trial and error.
It was, and we did try a lot of things. We had platforms that could print and email directly to us. So if you imagine an office worker, if they wanted to print and mail something, rather than printing it off at their local printer, folding it, putting it in an envelope, taking it to the post office, they used our print driver, which would send that document directly to our office. We would print it, fold it, mail it for them.
Okay.
That we spent a lot of time and effort in that, and that just did not take off.
Yeah.
We had another platform that enabled printing and mailing of postcards and direct mail. That didn't really take off either. We set up a card business for different wedding, birthday, anniversary card business that you could order online and get them sent directly to you and have them all digitally printed with variable addresses and names. That didn't take off. We tried lots of things.
Yeah.
We also tried one thing which was, we called it an online ordering system, where we could store goods for what started out to be government departments. So we could store their brochures and pamphlets and so on. And then we built this platform where their users could order those things to be sent to places. That's the only one that took off. And that is still here today and has grown and evolved into something much bigger now.
Yeah.
So percentage-wise, 5-10%.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
I think the reason why I wanted to ask that question is this is a great story, great example of, in small business, how many different things sometimes you have to try and experiment until you find the thing that takes you through the next level of evolution. When a lot of operators or a lot of owners are afraid, what if I try this and it doesn't work? So they don't experiment or innovate. But we've learned time and time again from those owners who had the courage to try a stack of things, the way to move forward is try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail in the direction you're trying to head until you find the thing that can take you forward.
Yes, and it can be quite demeaning, and it can also be very expensive.
Yes.
So it's hard to keep doing that. And I think that, that reflects back to my life hack, which is just do the thing, just get it done. And then once you've done it, you'll get feedback on that thing.
So what helped you
change and continue to grow with it?
What helped you keep going then? When you try failure, and you get knocked back and it does feel demeaning and demotivating, but you guys kept going. What was the thing that drove you guys through that period?
The reality of it is you just had to. You have staff to pay.
Yep.
You have bills to pay. You have to find a way. And I think my dad taught me that.
Okay.
It's not should I, can I, it's I must. So it's not necessarily a good thing, and I don't recommend it, but that was what we had to do because the only alternative was to shut it all down and walk away and have some huge debt or that feeling of failure, I suppose, which we don't really like.
Yeah.
So it was really just as simple as try something, see how it goes, iterate, and keep moving forward. But it got hard because some days there's not a lot of cash in the bank to make the payments or to make sure that you can do the next thing you want to do. So that then limits what you can do next to make change because you don't have a lot of cash in the bank.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is grit.
Yes.
And reflecting on a lot of the things and thinking about this over the past few months, I don't think everyone is cut out for this. And I don't know how you know whether you are or not. Sometimes it's not until you get in there that you realise what you've got to, keep pushing you forward.
Through some of the interviews we've had on this podcast, there's been quite a mixed opinion on this very point. Some people are of the camp of it's good to know how bloody hard it's going to be so that you can decide that that's not for you and not put yourself through the misery. And then the other side of that is I'm glad I didn't know how hard this was going to be because I wouldn't have done it. And it's better that you don't know and just do the thing and do the thing. And
I'd still be in France.
Yeah. If you knew how hard it was going to be. Yeah. Okay. And so just talk us then through the breakthrough that helped you guys pivot the business in the direction that led you to where you are today.
Well, like I said, it's really putting one foot in front of the next. Yeah. Try something, see how it goes, change it, keep moving forward. I took over as managing director in 2018, so about 6 years ago now, and I made a fairly conscious decision to really focus on the e-commerce fulfilment side of the business. So we have this platform that we built that I talked about. We really started building it over 15 years ago at a very small scale. And I could see that, yes, we were doing that work for government departments, but this e-commerce industry was, growing, and could we become a part of that? So I really put a bit of a laser focus on that. And what I had to do that was take my eye off the mailing side of the business. So that did suffer because I wasn't spending as much time there. But it also enabled us to continue to have the cash flow to be able to focus on that newer part of the business. So I just set some goals around building out the platform. So we have a developer that was building that for us. He was working in-house. And then it was about finding some clients that were really going to help sustain the business, give us a reputation in the market. So that was what I did. I was really looking for clients, and one by one, slowly by slowly, we took those on. We actually ended up in 2020 purchasing some clients off a competitor that was leaving the West Australian market. They were moving east and they couldn't take those clients, so they offered for us to purchase those clients. So that gave us a bit of a boost, and I kind of thought, oh yeah, this is it, we've made it now. But that wasn't the case. It was still a lot of work, firstly to onboard them, to deal with all the issues, to learn the new processes, to make sure we had the team members that could manage that. So there was a lot of work there. And then bit by bit, we've managed to grow that business to where it's now the biggest part of our business. So the mailing is still there, but it's not the largest focus for me. And the 3PL business is really where we can see the growth of our business. Okay.
There's two things there I'd like to explore with you a little bit. The first one is to make that pivot into more of a technology approach and developing technology and starting with a developer, and that was new territory for you guys. So I'm sure there was a lot of have to experiment and risk and see, and it's also can be quite expensive. How did you find that pivot into a technology line? We'll talk about that first, and then I've got a question about the customers as well.
Sure. So I probably didn't realise we were doing it. I just had this idea in my head that we've got to build this thing and we need a person to build it. So I just did it. Okay. It wasn't very much of a conscious, let's become a technology company, which we're not, but we have this big piece of technology now which we have built. Yeah. And now I look at it differently. But again, it was very much that 1% improvement, just get that little bit better every day and build on it. So we would look, and whatever complaints we were getting from our customers, we'd go and fix that. Whatever our clients were saying, we need this, we'd see if we could build that or put it on the list. So it wasn't very really thought out, I don't think. We just had to do it to be the best we could for our customers, to give them what they needed so that they could grow.
It sounded like you relied on short feedback loops and just try to really understand the feedback and then iterate quite quickly based on that. Was that a good approach for you in the end?
It's worked for us. Yeah. And I think if you don't have a lot of cash in the business, so you can't go and spend big wads of cash on starting something new, then really, like, what other option do you have? We had to just make small changes quickly, and we're not a big business, and we don't have to sign off on all these things to make stuff happen. We could just see a problem and fix it, and then see the next problem and fix that. Yeah. So that was how we went about things, and we're continuing to do things that way whilst putting more structure and process as the business grows.
And it sounds like you were very selective with the customers that you went looking for in the early days. Can you just tell me about how did you determine to take that approach, or what was it that made you make those decisions around the customers you partnered with early?
I don't know that I was really selective. I probably was, but it felt like for me, it was, I just need anyone. I just need customers. Yeah. Because we needed cash. So but then in saying that, I suppose on reflection, I was looking for e-commerce businesses that were sending small, light items via Australia Post. So just to sort of backtrack a little bit, what I tried to do in this change we made in the business is use the things that we already had and were good at. So what did we already have? We had space. We had this building so we could fill it. We had team members who were on the floor who could process mail. We had this platform that we could continue to build out. We had a contract with Australia Post where we had very good postage rates. So all those things, I was trying to use the really good things we already had to break into a new market. And so looking for those customers was trying to find people that fitted in with those points that we had. So, and then if we can offer those things to clients, what I could see is that we could actually help them grow. So we were able to take on those few clients, and we had a couple of them that really then started to grow, and we had the space so they could grow. Whereas if we'd had a tiny little warehouse, that wouldn't have been able to happen because we wouldn't have had the space for them to bring a container load of whatever their product was in. So that was how I think I looked at it.
Yeah, it's quite a pragmatic approach, and then it sounds like coupled with your drive to just do the thing, get the next step, must have revealed to you the golden thread to pursue.
That feels like how it was, yes. Yeah.
And the customers, you've got long-standing customers, still many from the early days. Is that right?
In the mailing side of the business, yeah, we have clients that we've had for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is great.
What do you think what is it that makes them stay with you for so long?
I think there's a range of things for different clients, but the family business, I don't think people stay with us because we're a family business. I think it's part of why people might choose you over somebody else in the beginning. But then it comes down to the values that you as a family and as a management team bring to the business. So they see that you are upfront and honest with them.
Yeah.
That's something very important to me. They see that if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. So I think that's important. I think if you give a good service, people will stay. If you can remain price competitive, they'll stay. There's so many reasons that people will stay, and it's making sure that you continue to give them those values that they realise they want to stay. What's happened with the business now, with the two streams, with mail and the 3PL, with the mailing business, we can do a job for someone which might be worth $500, $5,000, $10,000, and we can do an amazing job for them, and they say, yeah, we're going to use you again next year.
Yes.
In 12 months' time. Great. But there's not a lot of revenue in that for us. The beautiful thing about the 3PL business, and this is why I put a lot of my focus in it, was if we take on a client and they're selling a product, we store that product in our warehouse. We pick and pack and ship that product every day. If we can do a really good job for them and their clients are getting their product very quickly and they're writing amazing reviews on their e-commerce website and more people are buying that product, then they get more of that product in our warehouse and we get more orders, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. And that's what we've seen over the past few years, is we're not relying on them saying, oh, it's been 12 months now, we're ready to do another mailing. This is every single day we do that work for them, and if they grow, we can grow with them.
So I imagine for a small or early stage e-commerce business, having the right 3PL partner can absolutely make or break you.
I think it can. I think there's a lot of aspects, right, to building an e-commerce business, but the 3PL side of it is really important. Somebody that is your partner and sees themselves as your partner. And that's very much what I tell my team, is we are the grunt, the everyday grunt for an e-commerce business. So whilst the e-commerce business owner is doing the marketing and they're ordering the products and they're deciding what the next product is going to be and they're talking directly with their clients, we're the ones that are receiving those goods in, we're picking and packing those orders, we're speaking directly with our client, letting them know if there's any issues with stock, keeping an eye on the quality of the stock. If we see something that doesn't look right, we need to tell them. So all of those things are going to help that business grow. So yeah, it is really important that they get a good partner.
And just for any of the audience that doesn't know, 3PL stands for third party logistics.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's fine. I have to remind myself sometimes of 3PL in particular. I have an interest in e-commerce businesses generally. And that's why I have the opinion that if you do a lot of the other things right in your e-commerce business, one thing that really is an important decision is your partner in terms of the distribution of your product.
And what I have seen over the past few years is that because we've been willing to grow and able to grow, that has enabled some of our clients where if they'd gone to a 3PL that didn't have that growth mindset, then they might have had to leave.
Yeah.
But what we've been able to do with some of our clients that have really grown is say, great, let's grow together. Let's do this as a partnership. And now what's happened is that strengthened the relationship we have with them. So we can be really honest about this is where we want to go, and they'll tell us, well, this is what we need to do within our business in the next 6 months, next 12 months. So we're talking 18 months out with them about what they need for their business and being able to be really honest and upfront about what we both need and what we really both think we can actually achieve.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of positives in that business model when you're able to enable growth for your customer, which sees your own growth connected to that. I do want to spend a bit of time now on the complexities of stepping into a family business and then where there is existing strategy and existing leadership and then starting to contribute to that. And then eventually you ended up in a leadership role of the business. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what those years were like?
Yeah, look, it is hard. I think what happened, and I alluded to it before, where there was my dad, my uncle and myself within the business. I think my dad was at a point where he was kind of ready to retire, but didn't quite know what that looked like. And it did cause some, what's the best way to put it, some issues within the business. And I think I do, and this is upon looking back, I think it really is important to have one leader within a business, because the staff needs someone to look to understand where they're going. That doesn't mean there can't be a hierarchy of leaders, but there needs to be that one person that ultimately makes those decisions. For us, that there with the three, it did cause a bit of confusion. Then my dad was a bit not sure what to do, and I think that's partly came, I had gotten married and had a baby, so a little bit of my focus came away from the business. And then he couldn't quite decide what to do. So what I actually did at one point, and this was upon talking with a consultant, so we were involved quite heavily with an organisation called Family Business Australia, and they have consultants, and one of them really helped us to clarify what we were doing, because I think we got a bit lost in it all. And he said to me, well, do you really want to do this? And he was quite brutal, to be honest, and it made me think about it. And then what I did is I actually went to my dad and I said, okay, if you want to choose me for this role, this is my plan. And I tried to give you, it wasn't written down, it wasn't some big business plan, it was just us talking together about what I thought I would try and do within the business. What you have to understand at this time, this was a really hard time in the business. You know, the internet's booming. People are sending everything digitally. Australia Post has just put their prices up, like doubled their prices in 1 year. The only person you can buy a letter from is Australia Post. So if you think your only provider has doubled their prices. That must have
wiped out your margin.
It did.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So there was not a lot of money. And I do think my dad was also a bit like, well, why would I want to give this to someone when it's at this point currently? Do I want to do that to my family? He
was concerned of handing you the wheel of a sinking ship sort of thing. Or,
possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but quite possibly that could have been what was going through his mind. So I went to him and I said, this is my plan, and it's a 5-year plan. And I'm going to focus on this, which was the e-commerce fulfilment and building out our platform. And I also put to him that, we would make a sale at some point and what that would look like, how much I would get out of that. And so I think that gave him a little bit more to work with in terms of making a decision.
Yeah.
Now that plan hasn't 100% worked out, which is fine because they never do. We all set plans and we work towards them and they evolve and change. So that's okay. But ultimately what I said I was going to do is what we've done. So yeah, in terms of working in a family business, my advice to people would be you really need to talk to each other and be upfront about what you want to achieve and what you want out of it and how you feel about these things. And it does get pretty hard because there's a lot of emotion involved, and depending on the personality types, there can be clashes with people. So it's not easy, but just by talking about it, you can suddenly realise that maybe you are on the same page, or it can clarify what you're thinking and help the other person then come to decisions as well.
What I like about what you told us there is the clarity that you guys discovered in Dad thinking, well, what does he want? And he wanted to not work so much anymore and go the retirement route. But he also had to make a decision about what does he want for this business that he started and have led for so long. And you had the opportunity to say, well, Dad, if I step in here, this is what I want. And he had the chance to go, that is something that marries up with what I'd want to see. Or have the opportunity to go, well, that's definitely not what I want to see with the business, and that would alter his decision.
That's right. And I think if I'd taken over and not had that conversation with him and then gone off on this tangent, that could have been quite a shock to him. Well, why are you doing this to my business, my baby? Yeah. So I think that actually was a good thing. But a lot of this is in hindsight, remember that.
Of course. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we want to tell these stories, because we learn so much after the fact, and talking about it might give us the opportunity to help some other business operators out there make less mistakes than we did, because there's many.
Yeah.
Tell me, in business, in Quickmail, and being the leader of that business and taking the business where you've taken it so far, what's been one of the greatest challenges for you?
Probably two things. Cash flow, learning how to manage cash flow and make sure there's enough money to pay wages and bills every week. And the other one for me has been the leadership piece, how to be a leader, because you're not born being a leader. Sure, you might have certain talents that lend yourself to that, but and those two things are really actually very linked, cash flow and being a good leader. And I've learnt this because it's very hard to be a nice person and a good boss when there's no money in the bank, because all you are focused on doing is make sure you can pay your people, but that doesn't make you nice to be around. So that was very challenging in the early days when there wasn't a lot of money in the bank. I really struggled to be the person that I wanted to be. But there was a reason for that. It was because I wanted to pay them every week or, and make sure the business didn't fail. So as things get easier, you can then swing that pendulum back and focus on being the leader that you want to be. And as you say, I use other people's experience a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read books. I listen to people that have done this before, because I think you can learn so much from other people. And then the other side of it is just doing it and getting it wrong and saying, well, I'm going to do better next time. Gosh, that wasn't a very good thing to do, Sophie. Don't do that again. Or, maybe you could manage that a little bit better next time. So I'm very much the sort of person that says, you can't reflect on one thing that one person does at one time. You've got to look at how they evolve as a person over time. I think that's really important.
Can they learn from the decisions and then grow in a positive direction?
That's right. And I think I might have learned that from the horses as well. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's empathy in a way. When you told me the story about the relationship with horses and you've got to get over your own feelings and understand what's going on for this animal right now, for you guys to be able to do something meaningful together, and how you tied it to relationships with people and then leadership.
Yeah. But the important thing as well is having that empathy for yourself, because you will make massive buck ups and you will do things that you're not proud of, that you think, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to be that person. So, but that's okay, because you're learning, and as long as you learn from it, then it's okay. So let's park that there. Let's not forget it, but let's just not beat ourselves up about these things, because I think that stops you moving forward.
It's maybe one of the most powerful things anybody's said on this podcast so far.
Wow.
So I want to ask you this. How do you encourage young leaders and young operators, any business operators out there, to have empathy for themselves when we're in an environment and in a culture that often seeks perfection or drives the narrative of ultimate success?
I'm still working on that piece. I think that taking time is really important. So for me, it's the couch.
Yeah, and the
or
Tim
or the moment of that quiet time. So whether that's meditation or whatever that looks like for other people, is taking time when you need it for yourself. I don't know how you teach someone to be kind to themselves. I think you just got to keep reminding yourself to do that.
Yeah.
if you're with someone all the time, you can keep reminding them. But yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'm still working on it. And as I said, that leadership piece for me is a really big part of my current journey of how to make sure I can build up the team to be the best they are. The people that I have working for me are not the corporate type. They're not ladder climbers. They're not. A lot of them are not looking for the next great position, which is great in some ways for us because it means that people want to stay with us. But then it also becomes harder to offer them things in a way. So I'm still processing that for myself of what that looks like. I have had a couple of people come and work for us over the years, and I thought, wow, this person is an absolute gun. And I think to myself, they're going to move on from us. And the attitude I've tried to take with that is, okay, let's be the springboard to help them go and be someone even better and work for someone bigger and better and greater than us, where they can continue to learn and grow and give back. So I think that is important.
That's a massive give a shit attitude towards this other person, which is just not that common in business. Because what we see often when you're leading a business, it's about how can this person who's now employed by us maximally contribute to what we're trying to do. And what you've just described there is a different perspective in how do we set this person up to pursue their goals wherever it may lead them.
Look, that's certain key people that have worked with us because I can see that they are amazing operators and I really want to help them grow in that position. Then there's the other people who may not be looking for bigger and better things, but they're just really happy working where they are. And it's about making sure that every day they can come to work and feel like they've been able to put in their all and actually get something back from it. And that's important too. Yeah. So all of that is what we're trying to work out every day. And as I say, when there's not a lot of money in the business, those things are not top of mind. But as we grow, I can feel that becoming more important in what I do every day.
And as the success comes, it gives you more headspace and breathing space to focus on those other disciplines in the business.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to that empathy piece, I did used to beat myself up about that because I couldn't do all of those things 4 or 5 years ago. But there's a reason for that. There's a reason, and that was just to make sure we could maintain. So you just have to remember to be kind to yourself sometimes.
Awesome. Normally, as we sort of end near the end of our conversation, I would ask for any advice for anybody out there who's trying to build a resilient, sustainable business for the long term. You've just given us one of the most epic pieces of advice
I've got
ever.
more.
Yeah, please. That's what I was going to say. Whatever you've got to share, I'd love to hear it.
I think it's really important to put the right people around you.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? For me, in the early days, again, no money in the business. So how do you do that when a consultant costs you thousands of dollars to get you to help? So it's learning from people that you don't have to pay. And that's not taking advantage. That's just finding the right people. So whether that's listening to podcasts, and there's so many great ones around, going to business networking events and looking for the right people, and not everyone's the right person at those events, and you need to find the right person for you. And that can take years and years. And I can tell you, I've been to lots of events where I wake up in the morning and I don't want to go, but you have to force yourself to go. You need to do the thing. You get it done. Go to these events. Make a pact with yourself. Anyone that says, will you go for a coffee? You say yes. Give them one chance. Meet them. Ask questions. Learn things from them. Get those people around you. Then as you get the trust from those people, then you can pick and choose who you pay to help you. And I've found someone like that in my business, and it took a long time, but he's been extremely generous in helping me, and the growth that I've been able to achieve within the business over the last few years, but also the growth that I think I've found for myself personally has been in part due to him. So I do think it's really important to put people around you. And I suppose the flip side of that as well is get rid of the wrong people in your life that aren't helping you succeed. So whether that's team members that are bringing everything down, make the hard decision and get rid of them, or don't have, advisors, or even it comes down to friends. Don't ask for advice from people that don't know what they're talking about. So I do think that is really important. And the other thing I would say, and this one maybe is a little strange, but it's be really impatient, but be extremely patient.
Okay.
And I would say I've learned that about myself over the past few years is I don't like standing in lines. Things have to be done quickly, keep moving. I'm very impatient, but I have been extremely patient where it counts.
Amazing. I'm just really grateful for your realness and your authentic share of your story. Definitely in this town and in the greater community, you've got such a great reputation of somebody that's done really meaningful work with that business, and you set an extraordinary example for other business operators and for the people that are in your business.
Thank you, Gabe.
So I'm very grateful for your time today and for sharing the lessons you've learned along the way. We're cheering you on all the way. Can't wait to see what the next decade holds for you and for Quickmail. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to chat.